So if you were to give people like 3 top tips to just gain that little bit more confidence in what they're doing, be it online or in person or whatever, what would it be?
Don't forget to breathe. I know this sounds really obvious. This is actually a really good one as well if you want to feel more in control of your nerves, which if you feel more in control of your nerves, you will feel more confident. And we do often forget to breathe, or we don't breathe properly when we do our speaking. So shall I do a little, this is a really good tip exercise, which might be really useful. Literally all you're going to do, we can do it together, Steve. All you're going to do is you're just going to breathe in for 3, and then pause at the top of your breath. So literally hold your breath just for a split second. Don't hyperventilate or anything, just for a split second. And then let your breath out again. And that's it. So you just breathe in for 3, nice steady breath in, pause at the top, and then breathe out for 3. And what you really want to try and do is make sure, so often we breathe really shallowly. We just do a from the top of our chest, which doesn't give us really good oxygen, which is what we really want. So we breathe nice and deeply. And when you pause at the top, it sort of allows your nervous system to recalibrate. I expand on this a lot more when I do my training, but essentially that's what's happening. And you allow everything to settle. So you've got a chance to kind of gather yourself before you then go and do your bit of speaking. And the brilliant thing about it is that unless you're going and no one knows you're doing it. So it's a kind of little secret tool that no one knows you're doing, which is a good one.
Do you ever get dry mouth?
Yeah, dry mouth is a thing. Dry mouth is a thing. And always have some water. I mean, I've got some now. You've probably got some somewhere in case you, always have some water. And there's nothing, I think people get really nervous. Oh, I can't have a drink. Of course, yeah, crack on, have a drink. Just do whatever you need to do that thing. What was I going to say? I'm going to sound like a stuck record. I always think I sound like a stuck record when I do my training because I bang on about this till the cows come home. Practicing. We touched on it a little bit already, taking all those opportunities. But if the first time you go and do your presentation or your debriefing in the meeting or your keynote speaking or whatever it might be, the first time you do that and the first time you hear what you're going to say is in front of your audience, how terrible, how horrible is that? That's not, in my view, that's not a good place to be. That's not going to fill you with confidence at all. So I would always say, try and find time to have a little practice. And I know we're also time poor, aren't we, Steve? We're time poor. But even 30 seconds, just 30 seconds, how are you going to start? What are you going to say? What's the first thing you're going to say? And if you practice your first 30 seconds, then by then you'll be a bit more, oh, my voice spoke. That's it. Good. It came out. I knew what I was going to say. I'm okay. No one's laughed. No, nothing's happened. And then usually that's the point that we can settle a little bit more and then, and then off we go. So I'd always say, yeah, practice.
Do you use like bullet points?
Yeah. Bullet points can be good. Yeah.
Because the other thing that I've noticed as well is you throw in a lot of humor, which.
Do I?
Yes, you do.
Oh, do I?
Yeah, you do. Like, because I speak to a lot of people, I get to vibe off. Do you know a lady called Ashley King?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ashley, I'll tell you a story in a second, but she realised that when I speak to different guests, I act differently. And if she's watching this, she'll see this. And so there's a guy called Doug Dinwiddie, who was on a few weeks ago. Very laddie lad. We were talking about sports, and I went into more lad banter mode. And it depends on who you're talking to. But there's nothing worse than my pet peeve is when you see someone speak on a topic and they're reading off notes and they're literally line by line, and it's like, for fuck's sake, just. And it was a politician once, actually. It was an energy conference in Newcastle, and he lost the room within 10 seconds because he was reading. Is where the best people, for me, they might have some notes, but they just talk to the room, and it might not be quite as word perfect, but they engage with you. And I just much prefer that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I talk about have some signposts. So if you think of your speaking, and when I say speaking, I'm being very broad and general, whatever it looks like for you. If you think of your speaking as going on a little journey, it could be a 2-minute journey, it could be like a 20-minute journey, and you want to go from the castle to the cathedral, okay? So you need some signposts, because you're taking your audience on that journey. And if you don't have the signposts, they're going to take the scenic route via the river and have donuts in the cafe and sit there all morning. And that's a disaster. And you won't get them to where you need them to be. So if you have your signposts, then you can keep them on track. But also for those of us who might have a little ramble or like a bit of a waffle, it kind of keeps us on track as well, which can be really useful. And even if you've only got 3 or 4 or 5 signposts of those headings of where you know you're going, your topics, whatever you want to call them, and you know, okay, the next thing I talk about is the process. Okay, I'm gonna have a chat about that. Then that can come across, I think, as much more genuine, more authentic, and you have more ability to engage and connect. Yeah.